don't know, the whole Helldivers 2 thing was it's a game that's on PlayStation and on PC, on Steam, and gamers were buying this worldwide in troves. We're talking 8 million plus sales estimated so far. And suddenly, Sony decided to require PlayStation Network linking. So you had to make a PlayStation account, even if you were a PC player and had no PlayStation of your own, that you had to create this account. And of course, it's to bolster their PSN numbers, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's about how these studios have to show growth in their effectively game streaming scenarios in order to bolster their economic numbers in time of waiting sales. So Helldiver fans were very upset. They review bombed the game, 300,000 negative reviews on Steam, and Steam and basically Steam or PlayStation cut off 177 nations from buying the game, which is still going on, by the way. Because they were unable to create a PlayStation account. PlayStation didn't offer that in their nation. So they cut out a tremendous amount of players. And so there was a huge backlash, and Sony caved. Within I would say 48 hours, Sony reversed their position, and Arrowhead was able to go ahead and remove that requirement from the game. And we're still waiting for those countries to be reenacted. But this shows that gamers have a lot of power and a voice.
So this is an unusual situation too, because usually the companies will ignore these kinds of things. Is Helldivers a Sony game?
It's Sony published and is designed and developed by Arrowhead.
Sure. But so why would Sony purposely lose out on 170 countries worth of coin?
Well, it was a mistake in the beginning where they wanted to do the PSN linking from the very beginning, but because the game launch, the growth was so fast, there were technical issues with doing that. So the Arrowhead CEO, I forget how to pronounce his name, Peldstat, he basically said, "That's on me."
I can tell you if you write his name because it's Swedish.
Well, I can't even spell it. So
I have to look it up because I don't.
So yeah, it was a technical problem in the beginning, and then once they were stable and their servers were stable, which is a thing in games when you have a lot of growth,
sure,
the servers go to crap. And when they were stable, Sony said, "Okay, it's time to turn that on again." But I don't think they're very organized. You can tell from the whole response that they didn't think this through, and I don't think they realized that they were cutting off 177 countries by doing this.
I can tell you his name now.
Yeah, you can tell you know.
Yeah, I had to look it up because it's a little bit beyond my world. Johan Pilestedt.
Johan Pilestedt.
No, that's not his name. He's just clearing his throat.
It's funny because
I so want to
created the company Arrowhead.
Yes.
Pilestedt. It kind of means the same thing. Peel is arrow.
So it's a nomer.
Yeah, it's a nomer.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, fun trivia gaming fact for the day.
Yeah, Sony really stepped into that one, but I think it's turned out good, but it's also been a good warning shot for everybody. Xbox isn't doing so hot.
Yeah. Well, here's what's changing in the industry and why gamers are getting more of a voice. And this is why I've called for a 2-year moratorium on buying AAA games that insert woke politics or abuse the consumer unfairly with over monetization. They are at a period of time where the easy money has dried up, right? And we've talked about this before. Games are not funded out of pocket. What you want to do is get a cheap loan or other financing to do your game, hold on to your cash capital reserves, and then use the game sales to pay back that cheap loan. That's just something that CFOs love, and it makes a lot more business sense to do it that way. You don't want to shoulder all the risk yourself, right? So these games are very expensive to make. Conservative estimates are lower end AAA is 100 million. Once you factor in marketing budgets, you're looking at 250 to 300 million for a AAA tentpole game. So what happened is, and talking to different studio heads that confide in me, that money is gone. and so now games have to turn a profit. Games have to stand on their own and support these tremendous sell-through numbers that are needed to support the budgets of the game, and that's causing a big crunch down in the industry where they are cutting costs left and right. We have nearly 30,000 layoffs in the game industry since Q4 of last year, and it's just going to get worse. And of course, the recent news is that Xbox just closed a bunch of studios, including what's the studio? Hi-Fi Rush, right? So, which was a lauded game and a fun game, and it did very well by a smaller studio, sort of like an accolade game, right? Like some games make a lot of money, some games are there. They may not make as much money, but they're there for prestige and brand value, and they were loved, and they got the axe too. And if Xbox is cutting and Microsoft are cutting studios like that, they're hurting financially. That's very bad when they have to reach down and cut a studio like that. So yeah, 4 studio closures, I think, this week in the Microsoft family, Bethesda family alone. And I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So this is why voting with your wallet is the most effective means of change right now for gamers to get a voice in the industry.
Sends another 5 and says, Grums, Sony still betrayed the fan base, and as the countries that don't have PSN still didn't have Helldivers anymore. Yeah, you did address this actually, but
yeah, so basically they can still play they don't have the PSN requirement for linking anymore. So all existing customers in those 177 countries can still play, but there can be no new customers, or if you bought it but haven't activated yet, no new activations. And I believe this is probably a very hot discussion at the top levels of Sony right now, which is why you haven't seen them revert it back yet, because they want PSN numbers to go up. They need to show that people are joining PlayStation Network. And if they don't want to be caught in the same position where 177 countries are locked out because PlayStation Network is not available in those countries. So I think what you're seeing here is that Arrowhead CEO has come out and says, I don't know what's happening with that, but it was a huge effort to do this, and we want those 177 nations back as a sales opportunity for PC. Right. But I think you've got a real problem in Sony upper management, which is like, look, we already caved on this. We don't want to have to do it again. We want to enforce PSN going forward, so we shouldn't re-enable these countries. That's one theory, right? And I can tell you, it's probably a very big discussion right now in PlayStation, in Sony, about what to do about PSN linking going forward, and they don't have an answer yet.
But I have a question. How many multiplayer games are available across PSN and PC? That's a neat trick.
Oh yeah, crossplay. I don't know of too many beyond Helldivers. So
yeah, the PSN situation is not an issue when you're just playing on your PSN, right? The fact that you're able to on the Sony PlayStation also cooperatively play with someone who's on a PC, that I've not seen before.
I thought Xbox would implement that first. Sorry, go ahead.
This is a business decision. There is no technical reason why people on PlayStation Network playing PlayStation can't play with people on Steam that are not on PlayStation Network. You can still have
a lag issue. There's a
no. There's no lag issue. PSN is just account authorization. Once you're past account authorization, the servers don't care.
No, but that's not what I point. Oh, is Helldivers available on the PS5?
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason why they wanted that.
That's the trick linking I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the PSN linking. I'm talking about.
Yeah, if you want to play on PlayStation, you have to join PlayStation Network. That makes sense, right? Yeah. You're a PlayStation customer, and you're joining PlayStation Network. It makes no sense for the Steam customer to have to go and make a PSN account.
That being said, you are locked into different servers. So if you have an EA game, you can have an Origin server that you got to log into, to have access to. Yeah, Ubisoft has their own stupid connection.
Well, they're trying to
requirements.
create walled gardens, right?
Right.
That's what they're trying to do. There is, like I said, this is a business decision,
Mhm.
not a technical limit. And for the community managers that were implying that this was a technical limit, or that it would enable them to ban more effectively, is disingenuous, and I can tell you, not technically true. So yeah, this is entirely a business decision. And one could say that, okay, it's you can't blame them, because they want the customers, they want the customer data, they want the numbers to show numbers go up, and that's very important at this time, because sales are softening right after the COVID demand. This is hitting industries everywhere, not just in games, and they need to show, when you don't have money, what do you show the investors? You have users, right? That's the classic. That's the classic
Well,
strategy. It's like, show growth, trade profit for growth.
I kind of have a question on that, and I know you actually stayed longer than we had anticipated, and we do have a lot of super chats, so I thank you so much for hanging out. But I do have a question that I would love to pick your brain on, because I'm such a novice when it comes to this stuff, and it's been a question that's been boggling me. Could the whole PSN network thing? Because why are they not in these countries? That's my question, I guess. Because could it be that that Sony is trying to pressure these countries into either allowing or setting something up for them to where they can come into these countries, or is it just because they choose not to be in these countries, and like you said, they're going forward to try and make sure that these countries don't have this problem again, or something like that? Like,
That is
with
a
Helldivers.
very good question, and I'd have to see, are PlayStation sold in those 177 countries?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
They would have to enable PSN if they were sold there, is my assumption, but I haven't researched that, and it's a very good question. Some might be legal requirements. Different nations have different legal requirements on what data you can collect, what types of monetization you can have, and perhaps they're running afoul of that in those countries. But that is interesting. I hope it's not just a matter of, well, we don't sell PlayStation 5 there, so we don't support accounts there, because that would be a really dumb decision. So yeah, I have no idea, but it's a very, very important and good question. I'm going to look it up.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.